Okay, so first off, this video will contain spoilers for the FNAF movie. If you haven't watched it already, go do that and come back to this video later. I'm not great with reviews, so don't expect anything groundbreaking from me, but as a fan of the franchise, I absolutely loved it. Fantastic movie. However, as a casual moviegoer, as most of the general audience would be, this movie was underwhelming, especially if you're simply going off with the trailers. But for me, personally, yeah, I loved it. I'll give the movie an 8 out of 10. But let's get into the ranty side of things. If you haven't read the FNAF books, specifically the novel trilogy, the movie follows story beats similar to The Silver Eyes and The Fourth Closet. You've got Mike and Abby discovering the secrets of an old Freddy Fazbear's, learning the robots are haunted by the spirits of the dead children, William hiding under a different identity, Steve Racklin, just like he does in The Silver Eyes as Dave Miller, which, come to think of it, William in The Silver Eyes was a security guard for a Freddy's with a mall built around it, and the reason why Freddy's was still standing in the movie was that he, as the owner, wasn't willing to let it go, with the spirits haunting the animatronics and it being the perfect hunting ground for new victims. Like what Mike and the previous night guards were, is it possible that the Freddy's in The Silver Eyes was left standing because William didn't want to let it go for similar reasons? I don't know. It was a thought that I had while writing the script. But anyway, the last two shared plot points with the books being William getting dragged away after he was spring-locked into a back room by the animatronics and the drawings helping the spirits remember who William was, is straight from The Fourth Closet. The drawings being the thing I wanted to focus on because it's something that new fans might not know about. For the movie, the story brings up multiple times that drawings are important to children at a young age as they can help them communicate and children can understand them. Abby gives Bonnie a drawing of a love heart and Bonnie knew that she loved him and the rest of the gang. So when Abby reveals that Spring Bonnie is not their friend and was the man who robbed them of their lives, turning them into the animatronics, they enact their revenge. However, in The Fourth Closet, things play out a little differently. In the book, Carlton is sent into the spirit plane after William injected him with the children's remnant. Now, remnant, for those who might not know what that is, to put it simply, is the haunted metal of the animatronics melted down, the remnant of who they were. This substance can be injected into inanimate machines such as other animatronics. Once the haunted metal and the regular metal mix, the machine is brought to life with the spirits of the dead kids. Since a part of their spirit is now in another animatronic, their spirit is split into separate vessels. Now, this is the part that might get a little confusing. As the spirits are further split apart, their memories become more fragmented and as such, they become more forgetful of things. One of which is, you guessed it, William being the friendly yellow rabbit they met before he killed them. How does splitting their soul cause the spirits to forget things, you may ask? Well, this is self-explanatory. This is because a remnant is a collection of memories and intense emotion, with negative emotions being the most powerful, which is one of the reasons why the spirits are tethered to the animatronics, because of their agony and this fear they felt during their deaths. The memories of the children, who they were before their deaths, are too latched onto the animatronics, but not all of their memories are. Some of their memories are foggy and others are just simply not there. And as you would expect, splitting a soul comprised of memories would cause one to forget things. Anyway, back to the book. Carlton, now connected to the spirits, helps them remember who their killer was by drawing on one of the pages, which for the story was metaphorically representing their memory shards. Once they remember who William is, they attack him, finally end him, and find peace. There's not much else I wanted to share with the books and the movie connections, so let's jump into the next topic. I think Garrett, Mike's brother, is the puppet in this continuity. Now, for newcomers, you're gonna hear the words continuity and canon a lot if you plan on getting invested in the lore. You see, FNAF has separate continuities or timelines of events across its various mediums. The first being the main one, the core games, so FNAF 1 up until Security Breach and its DLC Ruin. Every other game presented on screen are either spin-offs or fun little troll games. The other continuities being the novel trilogy, and up for debate on whether or not they are in the game's continuity or their own, are the book anthology series, Fazbear Frights and Tales from the Pizzaplex. So basically, the events and how they play out in the books are separate from the games, and the movie is also separate from each of them. I'm not going to talk about this anymore because this could be its own dedicated video. So back on track. In the games, on a night of 1983, Charlotte Emily, Henry Emily's daughter and co-founder of Freddy's with William, was William's first victim. She was locked outside of Fredbear's family diner, the first location opened by the two men, because some bullies locked her outside of the establishment. William, driving around that night, just so happened to spot Charlie on this rainy night and took the opportunity to murder her in the back alley out of a jealous rage of Henry. Provided quotes for why William felt as such will be provided on the screen, so pause if you want to know exactly why that is. He leaves her body there, driving off while the security puppet designed to keep her safe wandered into the rain, short-circuited its systems in a desperate attempt to save her, embraces Charlie one last time, but it was too late. This is how the puppet came to be possessed by Charlie's spirit and eventually gave life to the other kids from the MCI Missing Children's incident of 1985 in the other animatronics too, becoming their protector. However, for the movie, I believe Charlie is not the puppet, and it's a possibility that she doesn't exist in this continuity either. So, who would possess the puppet in the movies? Garrett. To prove this, let's take a look at his kidnapping. On a camping trip, Mike watches his brother get driven away from him by William, while the event of Garrett's kidnapping is different than Charlie's murder, as he was driven away and Afton kills Charlie outside of the back alley. Him kidnapping Garrett without the Spring Bonnie costume in a car would imply that he is in fact William's first victim, as William didn't wear the Spring Bonnie costume in the games when he killed his first victim, Charlie. It's not until the MCI that he starts to wear the costume when he kills again, and while again different in the novel trilogy, Afton does kidnap, spoilers for the novel trilogy's ending, Charlie with the Spring Bonnie costume from Fredbear's, unlike the MCI in that continuity. I'm only bringing this plot point from the books up because I know someone might bring it up as counter evidence, but the fact that he kidnaps her rather than killing her in the restaurant or outside would be further used as further evidence that Garrett is his first victim for the movie. So if I'm right, where is the puppet in the movie? Well, just like in the games, the puppet doesn't make her debut until the second game, and revealed that the puppet was in the FNAF 1 location 2, where in the second movie, if it gets announced. I believe the puppet will also show up, as the credits hint towards the puppet's iconic music box tune playing at the end. Further adding to the idea Garrett is the puppet is the creepy voice spelling out the sentence "come find me," played with the puppet's tune. Connect to this and the puppet being in a location just like in the games, with the comments Micah makes in the movie that he feels closer to Garrett in Freddy's, to me seems to heavily imply that he is in fact the puppet. The lengths FNAF theorists will go to prove that this guy is equal to that guy. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's talk about a personal theory I had. So this character Max, Abby's babysitter, was a part of a crew who broke into Freddy's to trash the place so Mike would lose his job and be forced to hand over custody to Aunt Jane, who got chomped into by Freddy. Later, we see a scene where the crew's bodies are stuffed inside various suits, and of them, Max was stuffed into a purple Freddy who looks a lot like Shadow Freddy. Now, do I think this is actually Shadow Freddy? No, I don't. It's just a cool little Easter egg for the fans. You see, in the games, Shadow Freddy and other Shadow characters across the franchise are theorized to be beings made entirely of dark remnants, aka agony and other negative emotions. Does the character in the movie look like an entity comprised entirely of negative emotions? No, he doesn't. He's a physical character, but the fact that Max is stuffed into it, to me, seems to hint towards my theory of what Shadow Freddy is in the games. In my last video covering the story Dittophobia and its implications for the story of the games, I hypothesized that Shadow Freddy was created just after the crying child's death, being comprised of the fear and agony of his experiences in his life. The crying child is the name given to us of one of William Afton's sons in the games because his name has never been revealed to us. And don't worry, we'll get to the Afton family soon. The cause of his death is when he was shoved into the mouth of the Fredbear animatronic by his brother Michael Afton, who may or may not be the same Mike from the movie and his bully friends. As the crying child continued to cry out in Fredbear, his mouth clamped shut onto the crying child's head, resulting in his death. His death is very reminiscent of Max's death in the movie, which to me seems to hint towards Shadow Freddy being the agony and the darkness of the crying child's death in the games and possibly Max's in the movie. Do I think Shadow Freddy is the crying child then? No, I don't, but his negative emotions resulting from his death is what Shadow Freddy is. Instead, the crying child is in Fredbear, who is also Golden Freddy and the same Golden Freddy in the movie. Long story short, in the games, it's possible there are two spirits in Golden Freddy, the first being Cassidy and the other the crying child. This might not be the case for the movie, however, because I can see that being too confusing for the audience. But anyway, on to the last point. One of the big reveals towards the end of the film is that Vanessa is William Afton's daughter. In the latest game, Security Breach, Vanessa is also a character, but her last name has never been revealed, so it's up in the air if this is the same in the games. However, this could not be possible in the games from our current understanding of it, that is. This is because Security Breach takes place in 2024, if Tales from the Pizzaplex is to be believed, or a more popular belief, 2035, and William is spring-locked in the games in 1993-ish, after the closure of Freddy's and sealed away in a safe room for 30 years before being found by some guys looking to earn a quick buck from the horrors of the Fazbear franchise in 2023. In FNAF AR Special Delivery, it's revealed that Vanessa is around 23, and if you do the math, it's impossible for her to be Afton's daughter in the games. I should also mention that in the games, William had a wife, a daughter Elizabeth, who went on to possess Circus Baby after she was snatched away by the character's claw, since she was designed to capture and kidnap children for William's experiments. Mike, the eldest son, our main protagonist throughout the series up until FNAF 6, and the crying child. There is no indication that William had a fourth child throughout the series, and while the first letter of her last name is A, her father's name is Bill, a common nickname for William, and she experienced a custody battle between her family and abusive dad, revealed in the retro CDs of Security Breach.
Your dad made you follow instructions, didn't he? I'm talking about the custody battle between your mum and your dad. Your dad didn't play fair, did he? He used to make your mum look bad in court. He manipulated you. It wasn't your fault, but it's common for one parent to use their child to hurt the other parent.
Which, by the way, there is no proof that William and his wife ever had a custody battle over their children. People just like to use the CD as evidence because Vanessa has visual similarities to Elizabeth. However, the other evidence seems to imply that Vanessa is Afton's daughter in the games too, right? Well, as I said, this would be impossible because William is sealed away before Vanessa is even born, so it's impossible for her to be his daughter. Unless Scott pulls some kind of stunt like, oh, FNAF 3's description says the attraction opened 30 years after the closure of Freddy's, not that William was spring-locked for 30 years. Which, if she is his daughter, don't be surprised that this happens to explain away that discrepancy. Could she be his granddaughter perhaps? Well, even though Mike was made into a jack-o'-lantern skin suit so the Funtime animatronics could escape the sister location facility, as Ennard, Remnant can also heal you, so after Ennard figured out that they were in a decaying corpse, they evacuated the premises and Mike was able to continue living with the power of Remnant. His body would have healed, and with the 30-year time gap of nothing, he could have settled down and had a family. However, Mike doesn't seem to be the abusive type since he was the one who wanted to end the tyranny of William and the nightmares he created, including setting the souls of William's victims free and rectifying William's wrongs. I don't think he would be as horrible to his children as his dad was to him, plus Vanessa's dad's name is Bill, so I don't think this can be the case either. So, what do I think? Well, after the fire of FNAF 6 and UCN Ultimate Custom Night, Afton's personal hell / nightmare, a new character came into the mix. The Mimic. This guy can copy and learn anything and everything, so after it was put into a game called the Freddy Fazbear's Virtual Experience, or How Haunted for Us, a game that contains all of Fazbear's dark history, it learnt all about William Afton and eventually became him, taking the form of Glitchtrap in the virtual world, who infected Vanessa's mind from this game, and Burntrap in the physical world, at least until Ruin. Which, if you want to learn more about this guy, I recommend checking out my video about him, which I'll have in the card here and in the description. For the games, I think Vanessa is someone who just so happened to look like Elizabeth and had a similar childhood to her, and the Mimic took that to their advantage to manipulate her into doing their bidding. I personally think that Vanessa may have taken the name Afton while under the Mimic's control and used that to climb to the top of the ranks of the company without any prior qualifications, to clean up the mess and cover up the truth of what she was really doing in the Pizzaplex, just like she does in the movie. A video I would also recommend checking out is a video by D Muted, who covered this very topic in a dedicated video, which I'll also have in the card and in the description. But anyway, that does it for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, consider subscribing, hitting that bell, and leaving a like on the video for more FNAF content. It really is appreciated. I also have a Twitter if you want to go check that out. Thanks for watching, and enjoy your day / evening.